Good morning, everybody's welcome to this Palgé Nyishar Ling. And also I want to say firstly, I'm very happy and joyful and excitement and to be here, and also it's like to be together, especially with you, and to study together Dharma, the teaching of the Buddha. And also, since we born in this world, and then it's like we call ourselves is a human existence. And like example is ourselves. And to take example ourselves, there are similarity of the another also sentient beings. It's countless, limitless. And in this world, almost it is like a full, like kind of the equivalent of atom of the earth. There is the existence of sentient beings. And also each individual sentient beings, there is like a physically, maybe there's a different body, verb. And mentally, is everybody's very much similarity. Which kind of similarities is like kind of concerning the happiness and also concerning the sufferings, and how we can to collect or to have the happiness, and how we can to avoid unpleasant circumstances, the unhappiness. This is like a kind of everybody is the same. But then we more to analyze in this among of the sentient beings, whatever existent transmigrations in this world or this space. I think it's like the most precious is our body, our life. It's the most precious. Like the important is our like kind of the rebirth. And then it's like when we since born in these human societies, and maybe according to the Buddhist perspective, of course, maybe it's like the some in the due to the in the past our some karma, or it's like in this life, some is like the circumstances of the human existence, and we become very, or we are quite very much intelligent, and we can using this intelligence to understand what is the right, what is the wrong, what is really is possible, what is not really possible. And when we very, very carefully to analyze in our life, of course, one hand is a human existence, wonderful, fantastic. And when we are more approaches, we have big doubt. We are really, it's like called am I human existence, really I'm human existence. And also there is really which kind of my life. how I can to understand something. And also we can to look at the more and the mind perspective. Mind is very much hungry to receive happiness, pleasures, entertainment. Each moment, each like a kind of picosecond, they are concerning how I can get good things. And that is the obvious truth. And of course it's very difficult to get what we have wished. This is also truth. And then it's like we can do more to concerning which kind of the benefit for in our life. Generally, ordinary perspective. Okay, to have good conditions. What does mean good conditions? Maybe it's like lovely families, and also it's like a nice position, and to have something material things, and in the like kind of the relative some circumstances, and then maybe I will be more happy. Say. Yes, also those things is make happy. It's very much contaminated. It is very much impermanent. It is very much kind of the unstable thing. But when we have, and during is the moment, okay, yes, but it's unreliable and unstable and untruthful. And today is like it, we can to see the family situations. Today we say, I love you, you love me, taking care, giving everything to each other. Who knows, everything change. Tomorrow become the enemy. Maybe sometime killing each other. It's not really, it's like kind of the partner or something, friend. Even the parents, children's, and children's parents, like kind of how much beginning they love each other, they certainly upside down changed. And positions are absolutely unreliable. Today you have position, tomorrow maybe we need to go to prison, worst in this world. And belonging things, maybe also reach someone's millions, trillions, billionaires. Today's okay, I'm not dependent on anything, but who knows tomorrow? And some robbers, some is like some circumstances arrive, maybe become the poor. Tomorrow probably is become the homeless. And there's no certainty this kind of. This is also like this. Exactly food, clothes, everything is materials is like this. This is also is a truth, is a bring some happiness, but not very much reliable. And then it's like we have other things. We are like a kind of the general or the scientific perspective. One is like a kind of the human monkeys become more developed and then more be intelligent, and then it's like educated, and then become civilizations. When we start civilizations, then people understood that. Then they created different spiritualities, and like kind of they different searching. The people some intelligence to look into what we needed, and then they created this path. And someone says like this, you can do like this, you can do this, you shouldn't do like this, you should do like this. And then it's like kind of a follow-up. And maybe sometimes a little bit effective, but it's also most, is very much mysterious, very much kind of the, we don't know, it is really is works or not. And maybe, I don't know, for example, whoever be to hear, and to follow the spiritualities, which kind of effective, which kind of really is like to serious result Do you have any experience? Maybe I'm not sure. Myself is still confused. And therefore I'm very bad follower of the spiritualities. And also it's like modern, our societies more believe the science. Why we believe the more science? Science is discovered for the human nature, all the sentient beings. Nature is like more like kind of self-oriented, and say I wanted everything. Whatever to see is like want to catch, greedy, and to be the winner, conqueror, and like kind of I want to become the victorious, and to defeat to the others. Okay, that means it's not only me, but my family, my society. That also concerning more the selfish, because it's like if we haven't got no family, no society, no kind of the friend, we also become the sufferers. Then it's like we are creating the family, society. Then through that, maybe we can to get pleasure, we can get some happiness. If we can't get, then we are against it to them. Oh, nothing benefit for, go away. Therefore, it's like a little bit nature like this. More like kind of the searching is this kind of, also is like a kind of the business perspective, how you can to winner, how you can to like kind of the make the life is a kind of, how do you say, to make more comfortable, to be better, to being better your life. And this is everybody. Then in this perspective, this direction is very much kind of the negative. Of course, you can't say the more kind of the negative development, but it's not only this no need to develop, and also we have the nature is there is the positive. For example, positive aspect, we have naturally compassion, kindness, understanding things, and everybody's to concerning the love and the kindness, to understand each other. To if one person, if I'm happy, also others need to be happy. If others are happy, why not? Those are the same myself. In this direction, there's a positive also direction to develop these true things. But anyway, it's like where you are more kind of concerning in these negative directions. But also science say now, it's like there is, mind is not kind of the fixated, and mind is not kind of the only the negative mind. There is the positive also mindset. But then this quoting that we can really analyze in our life. Yes, there is positive and negative, samsara, nirvana, good and bad. I think there is something. But good is not fixated. Good is not belonging to one or someone's. Good is like each individual good. What is the individual good? Intelligent, wisdom, compassion, understanding things. Also each individual has the negative directions, also negatives, like anger, ignorant, hatred, and something like this. But then this is a kind of the general perspective. Then ourselves is, since we're born in the human existence, we're more attached. This is not really, is like kind of stable. This is not forever. This is a very much fragile our life is. And each moment is changing. It's like kind of the roughly changing. We can to look at the maybe first, like maybe can to say during the 10 years, how much we changed during the 20 years. For example, myself is during the 55 or the 60 years. Then one now is I'm looked, wow, big kind of changing. In my own individual world, there is the big changing. And also it's like we can to really to be intelligent and to think about impermanence. disintegrate. It's like shadow. I don't know, it's how do you say, impermanent, this uncertainty of the impermanent. If I'm really too concerned to something certainly happened, then what is this world? What is this life? What is the really is I done in this my life? And if I'm joyful, really happy, okay, it doesn't matter. All the time is during the 56 years I'm happy. That is a little bit kind of okay. It's just 55, 60 years, just now constantly, just 1 second. But during these times I was happy and appreciate my life. But not very much appreciate, all the time busy, arguing, like kind of the spend it, not a very meaningful way. In this case, now it's the conclude to like kind of the estimate or like kind of the consume to the life. We don't know in the future how long we can carry to be the human existence. That is very important. Then what we need to do right now, maybe basically to think about the right and the wrong, or like the positive or the negative. This is in this world, in this situation, and these systems, we would to say, there is positive. We can to look any situations, even the like kind of element, greens, like a green grows things, our sentient beings. There's all the times true things, positive and the negative. Not necessarily kind of can follow up the mysterious kind of the things like this. And to really too serious as much as we need to kind of the positive to our own self to be very much cheerful, happiness, appreciate for the human existence. And top of that is something to be kind to the others. And something is related to every day to practice compassion or the kindness. It is the wonderful. Life is the meaningful. That is not kind of the religious word. And also it's like to be kind to taking care to others and ourselves to be joyful and to wear of the positive way. This is not kind of mysterious. Obviously there is. And to like this, and then maybe we can do now is we study the Buddha's teachings. Buddha's teaching, of course, some in the perspective, it is the maybe spiritual path, but it's not really kind of spiritual or the religious path. It is more kind of the logical. It is more kind of the realities. It is more telling the truth. And of course, Buddha himself, he is like a beginning, he followed the different spiritualities. And he is concerned with the like kind of impermanent life and all everything. And finally, he's like kind of the very much hurry uply or the quickly and profoundly, deeply, and he's researched something natural the realities. That is the most important. After he become the enlightened man, and then it's like he told to us like there's 84,000 teachings. Then it's now, okay, when we follow these teachings, not necessarily stupidly, and oh yeah, Buddha said that we need to like kind of solo. Or maybe Lama said, maybe this Lama's repeated Buddha's teaching, I need to accept it. Not like this. It's like Buddha himself also, he says like, my teaching is like kind of the purified of the gold, you know. When you take the gold from the earth, gold with a lot of tarnish, and you need to melt, bit, cut, to polish, to make the perfect gold. And then finally it's become the gold like this. Like this. The teaching of the gold, or teaching of the Buddha's teaching is like a gold, or the nita. We need to analyze whatever he gives to word, or the pit instruction, or the teachings, is not necessarily to swallow. We need to analyze. He said, if I'm saying things not relevant, it's not truth, you don't need to follow. And therefore, Buddha, he said, your self-protector is yourself. This is the wonderful things. Another is like most spiritualities, is all the time we are looking externally. And it's like kind of someone's to help to me. Of course, someone's to give some conditions. That is the truth. For example, even this nut is need to grow up. Some is like to externally the conditions help to this nut maybe in order to grow up. But reality is to need to grow up a seed. This itself, if this seed is not that, conditions cannot do nothing. And therefore, ourselves really to need to receive the happiness, or to is like kind of the avoid, or to eradicate, or is like avoid the negative sufferings. We need to take responsibilities. Therefore, also Buddha, he says that you're this like a kind of the negative, the adventitious obscurations, I cannot wash by the water. And also your sufferings, I cannot take by my hand. It's you need to purify your this how do you say, the obscuration. You need to take out your own individuals, the sufferings. How you can to do it, then I can give you some methods. If these methods, if you used, you have possible. And he says, I research in this world, this phenomena, these realities. There is everything is possible. Make joke yesterday, I mean like something doing in my rooms. And there's a lady says, it's possible. It's possible, everything's relative. Make joke, everything is relative. There's no fixations. That is also he's saying like this. And therefore, then we need to kind of to study, and also during this winter retreat, we are going to study this Patrul Rinpoche's one take. It's an introduction in the view of the Mahāyāna, clarify the true truth. And this text is I like very, very much for myself. It is really, we studied once in Moscow, and finally also it's difficult to express because it's very profound, very deep. It is said just Mahāyāna, but this is the Mahāyāna of the Vajrayana, Vajrayana of the Mahāyāna. It is very profound. And also it's during this retreat, maybe you have texts, and to really serious to study. It is very, very important, and to like to make the schedule nice. I think already made, and in the evening maybe we can to practice jot, or maybe yourself to study, and like this maybe we can to chat, we can to share our understanding like this. And also during the retreat, everybody take care. Weather is good, but sometime in the morning, in the evening, it's a little bit cold. And this I wanted this information wanted to say to you. And also this place is wonderful. Thanks for the Principal Matthew help to us. And it's really marvelous. This is place to us to chance to come into here to study. And the weather is Portuguese nice and delicious food. People are very kind, and difficult to go seaside, but and it's okay. And then is some we made this morning like kind of how do you say responsibility, and also this maybe is everybody's to follow up. There's nobody's need to control to say right or wrong, discipline. Buddhist people is big happy. There's no like kind of controllers. But we need the discipline, and if everybody to take care, everybody to take their self-discipline, that's wonderful. Thanks, appreciate. And this is once, and the second, take care to wearing warm clothes during the night, and also now Yuras here and Matthew, they can take care more about the heat systems, electricity, and then it's very comfortable. This. Okay, now this is just extra information. And now it's like it's a Mahāyāna's view. And before we start the Mahāyāna's view, and of course we need to generate compassion, okay? And that is the kind of the base of our positive direction. It's a foundation of the happiness, and it's the source of the happiness and the benefit. This is the really root of the benefit for ourselves, for others. This is the compassion, kindness, cheerful mind, happiness. And that is we need to study the Mahāyāna's view there. View is a general, there's a kind of the different view. View means it's how you concerning. For example, how do you think in this world? How do you think in your life? How do you think our lifestyle? And how do you think these systems, there is kind of the varieties of the phenomena, inner, externally, between. There's kind of unrestricted phenomena, how it is, and a kind of the a little bit to analyze. And generally, it's ordinary people, when you talk about a view, they don't know. What do you mean a view? View means it's of course, it's just to, when you look at I have wonderful views in here, valley and jungles, wonderful views. But here is the views, the more deep, more globally, and outer environment, inner sentient beings, ourselves is how do you concern it? Which kind of do you think? It is we come to largely all the solar systems, sun, moon. There is such a planet, and it's a huge, and day, night, and there is uncountable things, it's a phenomena, how it is comes, how it is abiding, how it is kind of the going away. And then we need to imagine how it is this. This is the way of the thinking. And then is the Mahāyāna means it's the quite scholar, wisdom, realizations. It is very, very kind of the, how do you say, conservative, I don't know, but academic, and really very much analysis. It's an ancient, great, kind of the science. This is kind of, we can call the Mahāyānas. Mahāyāna Sukha means it's really they analyze profoundly, deeply. They don't want to follow any kind of the stupid way. They want more reality, to really to look at the globally how it is. And then it's to have this more focus on which is the benefit, which is kind of not the benefit. And this, then is the view of there is such profound view, deep view, correct views is kind of the bring out some benefit. Which kind of benefit? For example, maybe if we have very good view on these computers, and maybe in this view means it's deeply you understand this computer. It's not a kind of the how this made, who made, which companies, inside which kind of the motherboard, memories, cards, not that one. General group these computers, which kind of do you have view, how it is comes, how it is look like kind of the nature, or the really is these computers. If you something to understand, maybe it's coding that something benefit is arise to in our minds. And therefore it's the view is the Mahāyāna view. It is very important. Of course, clarifies it, the true truth. Clarify true truth is Mahāyāna's view need to on the true truth. And what do you have the view for the relative truth? And what do you have view, imagine, thinking about the absolute truth? These true truth are really is the realities, and is most, how do you say, is important in our situations. For example, it's like all the Buddhas in the past, present, futures, they taught a lot of dharmas. And this dharma, all these dharmas depends entirely upon the true levels of the truth, relative truth and absolute truth. Relative truth, absolute truth, the resuming of all the phenomena. And it's also we come to say that relative truth, absolute truth is the cause and the result. And the relative truth, absolute, this true truth is like kind of, one is like a preparatory, and kind of the basic things, and the absolute truth is the result, finally result. And therefore, it's like entirely is upon the true levels of the true truth, and that is the relative truth and it's absolute truth. And then is also is the absolute truth, the truth of the realities. It is very important to realize it, and most important. That is one. Then it's like maybe according to truth, we need to a little bit to concerning. Okay, relative truth is there is a different type of the relative truth. Maybe it's also we can to comment it, but relative is like all these things are the relative. What does it mean relative? Where everything is changeable, unreliable, and each picosecond or the nanosecond is changeable. You cannot to fix it. You cannot catch. You cannot kind of something is really, how do you say, prove, like to say like this. In the Buddhist, some circles, Pachikas, Shavaka Buddhas, and they thinking is like concerning them. You know, Shavaka and say there's one circle concerning. Maybe it's everything is like a kind of transitarians, or transients, as like kind of changing. But what is the changing? It is like there's maybe some in the particles, some small things is maybe not change, because this is the cause of the others arise. You know, there's some certain, this is also analysis and deep, but there's something maybe existent, unchangeable things. This is kind of the giving the something's continuation of the arises. And the other ones, it says like more, sometimes they call the Pachikas, Buddha said. Some schools they say it's like not this impermanent, this changing process itself is the kind of the birth. Birth is death, death is birth. There's not a kind of the separations. And tiny, if you say so, if there's birth, there's the death, because birth immediately is the disappeared, this is death. Death immediately, birth there is, you know, uninterruptions. If you go to like deeply like this, this is also wonderful analysis. For example, this computer is like each moment is dying, is ceasing, but there is the birth. Therefore, birth is death, death is the birth. They like kind of this analysis is also very much deep. And of course, then is like more, and this one is the kind of the reality. Then is more, is higher, is like a kind of the circles to analyze. It's you can to say the like kind of divided the three kind of. For example, maybe it's principles, and then there is like kind of the different aspect. Generally, there's no different three aspect, but it's in the relatively you can to say the three aspect. Principle one is there's no existence of the birth and death. But this one, so there is nothing kind of you fix. You cannot say nothing. But this principle one is expressed. It can be the positive, it can be the negative things. And therefore, this principle itself is never changed. Change or not change. In the principle, in the perspective, there's no any kind of the names, samsara, nirvana, positive and negative, good or bad. There's no kind of, you cannot to apply any kind. This is we call the principle. This is like kind of the, you can't to say relative truth, you can't to say the absolute truth. If you say something truth, then automatically there's a coming the untruth. And therefore this principle is like kind of the, you can to say it's like natural kind of the condition, or it is like a kind of the universal condition and the basic conditions that is. And this one is expressed to the positive and the negative, and then there is the relative and the absolute truth is common. But these two truths are the reality is not kind of fixations, because these two truths cannot go beyond these principal ones. Principal one is like cannot to, there are reality is inseparability. This just one, you know, is a beginning they are telling the true truth, but finally there is the single truth, we come to say, single pointed. One pointed, one test means these principles. These principles is like you cannot to say relative, cannot to say the absolute truth. But from that there's two expressions. This is more maybe concerning is like to help. Is you can to say it's like natural disposition or the your Buddha nature, your own potential of the qualities, that ones. This one is this principle ones. Each individual particles, each phenomenon itself has no need to add or no need to bring some others this principle. For example, oh, this mandala hasn't got principle. This ones, this mandala need a principle. We need to from computer to add it here, not like this. Is a mandala compute each phenomenon, each particles, antiparticle, electric itself has the kind of principle. Then you have this principle, you understand. Then there is their own expressions. Own expressions means this water, this matter, this computer can become the bad, can become the good, both. And you don't need to someone to make a good bad. Someone's coming to bring you to the samsara or nirvana. Its own expressions. That is, do you understand? This is maybe to think a little beginning. For example, now we can to say is sometimes good, sometimes bad, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. Why? Because we have a principle body, principle verb, principle mind. Through these principles, then there's expressions. You understand? These expressions are very, very important. These expressions, each individual, then we call that this nature of the realities. You can't say that, but you need to concern, okay? And therefore, it's the, of course, it's like we go through the relative truth to find the more absolute truth. And then certainly this two truths become the unification, unit or the unified, and then there is the single truth, the truth of the principle, and that this is that we call the sometimes single test. And like this, maybe we can take 5 minutes to rest. It's warm, yes, here. Okay.